Joining me on the line as he does every week, ladies and gentlemen, he is from Cinemablend.com. You can find him on social media at Mr. Controversy 83. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com. Hello, sir. How are you this week?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, but I'm so jealous of those people that get to go see Top Gun.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, while we are recording, we are actually recording this on a Thursday because we're trying to get ahead of the game and, be diligent young men who can deliver content on the, look, I'm just going to stop. We're recording while CinemaCon people in Las Vegas are about to go see what is the first screening for Top Gun Maverick. After all of the delays, after all of what have you, it is finally being screened for people, and I am not one of them because I'm not there.
I don't know. You're really excited about this movie, right?
I am, and the thing is, I didn't really get into Top Gun as a kid because, the first movie came out, I think it was, 3? Like, when did Top Gun come out? That was 86. Yeah, I was like 3 when that came out. So, but obviously, my dad, having his military background as a Marine, he still, he loved military movies, and obviously he had fun with Top Gun. We had the VHS when I was a kid, and eventually I did get to watch it and really enjoyed it. And then all of the trailers for the new movie have looked really good. I mean, you've got Joseph Kosinski, the director of Tron Legacy and Oblivion, who's worked for Tom Cruise before. And, you've got this amazing cast of, like, young bucks and old favorites. You got Tom Cruise, John Hamm, Val Kilmer's in there, Jennifer Connelly. And then you've got, like, Lewis Pullman and some of these other younger cast members I'm struggling to remember at this point because I'm really just overloaded with excitement for this because it looks awesome. They have gone through so much painstaking work to, like, make this something just very practical and very wow looking.
I had read an article a few years ago when this was still in production, when they were doing some of the shoots with the military, they were on one of the ships, weren't they?
Oh yeah, this movie has some unprecedented military access to it because I actually went to a cocktail party for this back when it was supposed to open in 2020. February 2020, I was in the city for a cocktail party for this. And I met a reporter who was like, I think it was from military.com. And we were just chatting and he's like, yeah, after obviously the original Top Gun was seen as like an unofficial recruiting tool because that movie just encouraged so many people to sign up for the Air Force. And like as sort of a thank you, they got like unprecedented access for the sequel. And he's like, yeah, this would probably never happen again for a movie.
The reason I bring it up, I just remember reading this article, and it was from a military like website or something. I forget what it was, like a military reporting thing. But long story short, it gave a lot of stories of military personnel that were less than impressed with Tom Cruise.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
And and listen, I don't know. It's been 3 years, and I don't remember exactly where I got it from, but I that's stuck in my head. And there's a few other things with Tom Cruise that we talked about off the air, and I don't know. I just listen. I liked Oblivion. I thought that was a pretty cool sci-fi movie. This is one of those.
Really good.
Oblivion is a very, very interesting movie, but this one, I can't sit here and tell you that I'm really excited about it.
I mean,
I get it. Okay, it's gonna be huge. People are gonna love it.
Yeah.
I just completely shut down this conversation about Top Gun Maverick.
Pretty much. Got to keep stepping on my damn dick, so, I'm going to let you talk. And
here we go.
I'll jump in.
So that's where it ends this week, huh? 4 or 5 minutes into this, and we're just gonna go that route. Okay, so you're jealous that people don't get you're jealous you don't get to go see Top Gun. This doesn't come out till Memorial Day weekend, right?
Yeah. This is going to be the big movie for Memorial Day weekend this year. It's also going to be shown at the Cannes Film Festival, which is like the week before that. And I'm sure there'll be other like big screening pushes. I'm really interested to see when and if the big like military screening happens and if there's any sort of reactions that come out of that, because, especially with a movie like this, they're going to want to screen it for the Air Force. They'll probably want to screen it for other armed forces personnel just to sort of get the fine. Like, it would be such a feather in their cap if it's like, yeah, they really liked it and you should like it too.
Yeah. I get you. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me to talk about Top Gun. So that's, as we're recording this portion of this right now, it is Thursday at about a little before 11 o'clock Central Time. People are seeing it today, correct?
Yes, they are seeing it literally as we are recording. People are getting ready to sit down for this.
And listen, I want to throw this out there for just to be upfront and honest with everybody. Usually we record on Fridays. Tomorrow we have a plumber coming to our house, so I didn't know what time we were going to be able to record. So we're going to get a majority of the show out today, as in Thursday. If there is another big reaction or whatever from this deal, we might tack on a little bit at the end from tomorrow. So just to be upfront and honest with everybody.
Oh, definitely. And then of course, we might even touch a little more on the fact that Lady Gaga's doing like a power ballad for this movie. Like it was something that was rumored, and then they finally confirmed it yesterday. And that's just another thing where it's like, you don't see that sort of thing for a movie anymore.
Deadpool 2.
Oh, right. That did happen.
Celine Dion, which is just, that awesome. Is great on so many levels.
That really was. And that's the second instance that I can think of right now where Celine Dion being in on the joke works so perfectly. The other being the big ballad in Muppets Most Wanted.
Yes. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com joining me. What else is going on at, what was this thing called? CinemaCon?
CinemaCon.
There it is. CinemaCon, everybody. Come on down to the Breakneck Center this weekend for CinemaCon. 2 for 1.
Sunday.
Oh, God. Can you imagine doing that voice all the time? You just wreck your voice. Sunday. Thrills, spills, bone crunching spills.
The way you're doing it right now makes me think Tom Waits is announcing Monster Truck Rally. And I need this to happen so badly.
Oh, God. Anyways, what else is going on at this thing? Because you were telling me about it. It's like an industry thing, right?
Oh, okay. So CinemaCon is still a grail event that I want to get out to, because what it is it's a convention in Vegas. It used to be called Show West, and it's basically a venue where press and theater owners and exhibitors get together to talk about the state of movie theaters, the state of theatrical exhibition, and then there's also a lot of teases and sometimes full screenings of movies that are coming for the year ahead. This is the event where this week people have seen the first trailer for Avatar 2, which is now called Avatar: The Way of Water. They showed it to them in 3D, and I've heard some pretty good things. Oh, what else happened? Basically every studio that wants to attend shows a slate of films for this year, and even maybe next year, because in Warner Brothers' presentation, they showed a bit of Timothée Chalamet's Wonka prequel.
Okay.
And they also made the announcement that the Batman 2 is officially happening, with the whole gang coming back. So I don't know what specifically that means, but yeah, basically this is where you sort of set the table for the next half of the year. Since basically you run a little early in the industry, where it's like you're preparing ahead of time.
Yeah.
Sort of like the midpoint.
Two points I want to bring up after thinking about this. If this isn't an industry thing for movie theaters and whatnot, can we figure out how to bring back warm popcorn again?
Oh, I would rent a booth, and any exhibitor that wanted to could come and have a conversation with me, because there's certain things that I would definitely mention, like having your 3D projectors work properly on opening night for a 3D movie.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Keeping 3D in theaters and making sure there's more IMAX 3D showings.
Okay.
And warm popcorn, butter topping, those sort of things. I do not mean to harangue theater owners, but I would very much like to talk with them and have an open dialogue about such things.
If I'm going to pay $15 for your popcorn, it better be warm. I'm not asking for much when I go to a movie. I get like the same thing every time I go to a movie. I get a bucket of popcorn and I get a soda pop. And the fact that I have to do all the work now for it bugs me on a certain level. I don't
all the work. What do you
I don't like how everybody's going to like self-serve. They like hand you the popcorn and then you have to go. And I think that's why it's cold now, is because it's just in a big vat. They put it in the bucket and then you have to go put your own butter on and stuff.
Oh.
And I got to go pour my own pop. I'm doing 90% of the work. Like, they're ringing me up. That's the most they're doing it, at least at movie theaters here in Iowa. And it's like all of them.
Huh.
Like, I'm not asking for much. Just hand me my pop and hand me my warm bucket of popcorn. I don't understand why that's so hard. Why you just give me a bucket of cold popcorn and say good luck.
So
Sorry.
people are seeing Top Gun Maverick right now.
I just went real old man all of a sudden, but I don't get it. If you're not going to do like half the work when it comes to concession stands, I think the prices should be cheaper.
That leads to a whole can of worms, just because that's where theaters make their money, basically.
Exactly.
Because of how ticket.
And now I'm doing all the work. And yes, I stepped on your dick once again there. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm used to it.
It's so big, it's in the way all the time.
Okay, you know what? You rascal, you. I love you. No, just very quickly, that's basically something that, that if movie theaters really want audiences to come back in droves, there's certain things that kind of need to be addressed very openly and sort of with fans of film, because things like that, you're not the only person that's going to have that or other concerns.
I don't understand that. I don't understand why I can't just buy a seat and watch a movie. Now it's, hey, the seat has to shake, or it bounces, or there's a tube that goes up your to help you enjoy the magic of the movie a little bit more.
Well, I can see 4DX and those sorts of gimmicks being present just because of the fact that they're trying to give people a little more oomph when it comes to these movies, and in cases that it's used properly, I've heard people rave about it.
It is, but there are sometimes I just want to go see the movie. That's all I want. I just want a comfortable chair. I don't need it to massage. I don't need it to do anything other than hold my for 2 hours while I watch a movie.
And all of these questions are very important ones to ask, especially now, because, as I mentioned before, they showed the first footage for Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Avatar is going to be, I don't know if I mentioned the title, but it's now called Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make sure that's in there. But that's going to be a movie that movie theaters and fans are going to eagerly watch or eagerly keep their eyes on, because it's finally coming to us after over a decade of waiting.
Yeah.
And people are going to want to know if it's worth it. And they're already talking about how they're going to be showing this movie in like a wide variety of forms, like high frame rate, premium large format, IMAX, 3D. And one of my big questions is, okay, Avatar 1 was such an IMAX 3D hit. Are they going to bring back more IMAX 3D showings when this movie comes out? Because not only has IMAX itself sort of turned its back on 3D for the most part, I'm looking up showtimes for Jurassic World Dominion and Doctor Strange 2, and there's like one IMAX 3D showing in my area. And it's like, wow, okay, you want people to go see this in IMAX, but what if they want to see it in IMAX 3D?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just there's so many options now. But with Avatar 2 in mind, we were talking on the phone yesterday, and I brought up a question I want to ask you, and we're gonna eventually get to the movie reviews this week, friends. But I asked a question, and I'm very curious if this is going to be it. Is Avatar 2 going to be the next Matrix? As in, it's going to change the way people do movies?
I think that is an insanely high bar to set, especially with what Avatar 1 did. But now that they're talking about they're going to re-release Avatar 1 in September, and they're remastering the sound and like the picture, I'm wondering if they might. Because already James Cameron has basically, one of the reasons this movie took so long to make is because he wanted to develop technology where he could film underwater.
Yeah.
And as we've seen in the behind the scenes look, it's stuff like these floating pool balls that are supposed to minimize glare when you're filming underwater. So people basically go into these tanks, they go under those balls, and they film.
Yeah.
And he's also had his stars basically do deep sea diving training or an equivalent to that, so they can stay underwater for several minutes at a time to film. I don't know if it'll become the next Matrix, but I know it's trying its damnedest.
I think of, like, you go back and you look at Matrix, and up until that point, a lot of movies were made the same way. And then after Matrix came out, you had a lot of people trying to do the different shots, the different, feels. And it seemed like that was a turning point in movies. And there's just part of me that wonders, with all of the technology they're putting into Avatar 2 and what Avatar 1 did, if this is going to be another one of those kind of pivot points in movies with how things are done. Does that make sense?
No, it absolutely does.
Okay.
It's a valid question to be asking, and I kind of wonder that myself, just because I'm wondering what Avatar 2 will do to try and get there. I don't think we all know for a fact that this movie is going to try and do that. It's going to try and become the next highest grossing film. It's going to try and become the new trendsetter that, maybe this leads to a boom in 3D because they've updated the quality.
Yeah.
Maybe this leads to, and that would be wonderful, because I know a couple of years ago there's 3D companies that have developed wonderful technology that makes the 3D process better. Like there's screens that can reflect light better.
Yeah.
There's 4K 120 frame per second 3D technology just sitting there, and it hasn't been adapted as widely as some would want. And 3D was pushed because of Avatar. Like, that movie drove it. I'm wondering if it can do it again.
Yeah, I don't know. These are interesting questions. I will say this: who could take lessons for going back and fixing old movies that they've done from James Cameron?
Who?
George Lucas.
Well, James, because it's two different things. George Lucas went in and digitally altered things to revise his own vision, whereas Avatar looks like they're just remastering it to be more modern. Because I'm sure if you put Avatar up against whatever Avatar 2 is doing, it might look dated as hell.
No, I know, but it's just like when James Cameron goes into like do a touch up or redo something, it's that. I'm going to do a little touch up here. It's like, what was the thing? Wasn't it Neil deGrasse Tyson that said that the stars were wrong in Titanic, so he went and redid it?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that where George Lucas is like wholesale changes. Han Solo did not shoot first type stuff.
Yeah, Jack doesn't all of a sudden land on the door.
Yeah. Good times. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joined me. All right, so that kind of takes care of CinemaCon. What is it? CinemaCon. I keep thinking I'm combining Cinemablend with CinemaCon, and it is what it is. All right, so
we've got people out there.
Is there any other big news we need to talk about before we move on to movie reviews?
Well, we didn't talk about how or I don't know if we talked about it before, but did we mention how Across the Spider-Verse got delayed?
Yeah, we did. We talked about that real briefly last week because I asked the question, because there was that thing about Morbius maybe being the cause of it. But yeah, we talked about that. There was a bunch of other Sony movies announcing that they're going to have sequels. I don't know if we talked about Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
What was the other one? There was another kind of big one out there that I was like, oh, that's cool.
Let's see. They announced Venom 3, obviously. They announced Ghostbusters Afterlife 2.
Yeah.
This was all also at CinemaCon. They showed some of Bullet Train, which already looks hysterical, and I've heard it is absolutely hysterical from what they've shown in the clips. El Muerto is another Spider-Man spinoff they're doing with Bad Bunny playing the title role, and that is apparently the first Latine Spider-Man spinoff. So that'll be very interesting I'm very interested to see how that shakes out, because I'm not familiar with the character.
I'm not either, but I do know Bad Bunny can pro wrestle, believe it or not.
Well, he's definitely brought fighting skills to Bullet Train, because he's in that one too. And you see him fighting Brad Pitt in the trailer.
Oh, nice. I haven't seen the trailer for it yet, so I'll have to look for it.
Oh, there is one other huge story that we failed to mention. Fast X is without a director.
And Brie Larson's going to be a part of it, isn't she?
Yeah, I think they mentioned that a couple weeks ago. She's going to be a part of it. Jason Momoa is in it. But the big thing was Justin Lin, who's directed several Fast and Furious movies since Tokyo Drift, and who's also been like a huge part of, I believe he wrote Fast 10 story as well, apparently has stepped away from the film days into shooting because of creative differences, and it could cost Universal up to $1 million a day until they find a new director. They're still apparently shooting some second unit stuff, so like, stunts and car chases and stuff. That's not really the stuff that's not involving like the leads on screen or the dialogue mostly.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are speculating what those creative differences might have been, and he's still going to be a producer on the movie. But it's just, days into shooting the final 2 movies of this franchise, you lose your director, and it's just raised a lot of eyebrows.
What's kind of the going rumor, like the one that people are willing to bet money on?
Vin Diesel.
Really?
Yeah, the rumor that, at least it's a rumor that a lot of people like to put out there, is that maybe Justin Lin finally just had it with the Vin Diesel cult of personality that kind of sort of drives things in these movies, and that we've heard of before with other cast members that he has feuded with in the past.
Like The Rock, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's, and again, this is total internet scuttlebutt. This is not anybody having any hard evidence or even any rumors to go off of. This is just the internet being the internet, and who knows when we'll find out what's actually going on, if we'll ever find out what's actually going on. But I'm very, very curious to see who they get. Apparently the rumors are Fate of the Furious director F. Gary Gray is one of the rumored names, and also David Leitch, who, if I'm not mistaken, directed Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay.
And Deadpool 2.
Okay.
And Bullet Train. So it's just kind of tying that all off together. Oh yeah, Atomic Blonde, Hobbs and Shaw, Bullet Train. Yeah, he's another one that's being rumored for the director's chair. But again, nothing hard. And it's just weird because I still remember, like, in the early days of what eventually became No Time to Die, you had Danny Boyle signing on to be the director. And then, like, a couple months later, he dropped out because of creative differences. And it's like, okay, that's in the pre-production phase. They hadn't shot a scrap of film yet. But Fast 10 was underway. Like, Charlize Theron was sharing stuff on Instagram about, her day on set, or her first day on set. And that, it's just wild to have this happen when the clock is now ticking. Cast and crew are engaged. And it's just a question of, are they going to find a director that they can be comfortable with before they have to face a potential shutdown?
Boy, imagine being a part of something like that, because Justin Lin has, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different movies in this series.
Yeah, I want to say that it was Tokyo Drift, and then 5, 6, 8, and 9. Because he didn't do 7, that was James Wan.
Yeah, that was James Wan. But anyways, for him to just basically go, it, I'm out.
Yeah, and again, like, this is a franchise that, I would go as far as saying Justin Lin is the reason that the Fast and Furious saga is what it is now. Because while it was popular in, like, the F1, F2 era, and 3 to a certain extent was, that's one that a lot of people like to look down on. But that was the first one that I saw that I was really like, wow, this is a thing I like.
Yeah.
As soon as he hit Fast 5, that nailed the formula. It brought The Rock into the picture. And then it just really, it threw gas on the fire of this thing that just built it up to something that by the time you get to Furious 7, it was $1 billion franchise.
I remember, let's see if I go back. I remember Fast and Furious. I remember. What's that?
So he was basically on 3 through 6.
Yeah.
And then 8, 9. Because I forgot he did Fast and Furious.
Because I remember Fast and Furious. I remember 2 Fast and Furious. I remember Tokyo Drift. I sort of remember Fast and Furious, the one right after Tokyo Drift. And then after that, I couldn't tell you anything about any of those movies anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I lost interest, and they all kind of ran together for me, where I don't know what's happening anymore. So,
see, for me, Fast 8 was a step down. Fast 6 was okay. Like, I loved 5, 7.
Yeah.
9 was cool. 9 it seemed like it was going back in the right direction, and I am really interested to see how they even attempt to close things off with these last 2.
Yeah, so they're only going to do 11 of these movies.
Well, I guess it's technically counted as 11 because Fast X is 2 parts.
Okay. Yeah, they just have on Wikipedia, they have Fast X, coming out May 19, 2023, and then Fast and Furious 11, February 2024.
And those dates are, as far as anyone knows, those dates are sticking. We just don't know. They may have to change depending on what happens.
Oh, direct sequel and second part to Fast X is in development. Okay.
Yeah.
So there'll be a cliffhanger.
So we'll just have to wait. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, maybe Eva Mendes comes back once and for all. Maybe like someone big dies at the end of the first one. You know, I'm really curious what that cliffhanger is going to be and whether or not we see Jason Momoa and John Cena go toe to toe, because I want that.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Dude, that's how you end. No. That is how you film like a 30-minute fight sequence between those two. You release it in between Fast 10 Part 1 and 2, and then you put it in theaters. And that's it. That just, people will pay for that.
Okay, how about this? How about a three-way fight between Vin, John Cena, and Momoa?
I guess, because then the thing that the big question that comes out of that is, how many punches are they limited to against Vin Diesel, and does he have to win the fight? Because let's not forget, Vin Diesel is one of those guys that has like specific. Like, he was one of those guys that people called out for like basically choreographing his fights to the point where it's like he can barely lose, and there's like a certain amount of damage he can take on screen.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
I think
it looks better when
be game to just do whatever.
It looks better when the hero comes back from really getting his ass kicked. That's all I'm gonna say. So.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, if your hero's vulnerable enough to actually get his ass kicked a couple times, and then afterwards maybe come back like that, there's a limit.
Indiana Jones.
James Bond.
Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man.
James Bond got his balls whipped on camera. I don't want to hear anything. And he laughed at it.
I was taking a drink of coffee and I forgot about that scene. I'm sorry. But anyways, all right, so that's Justin Lin. Real quick, they put out trailers there's a new Jurassic World trailer out that came out today, as in Thursday. I haven't watched it with sound. It looks like Jurassic World, what it should be. What did you say? Dinosaurs, people getting eaten, and something else?
People getting eaten by dinosaurs on the streets of Europe, and Jeff Goldblum snarking Chris Pratt, which is probably one of the best parts of the trailer, because the whole thing is, Blue the Raptor has a baby, and he basically promises Blue, I'll get her back because she's kidnapped.
Yeah.
And then at one point in the trailer, Jeff Goldblum looks at him and he's like, you made a promise to a dinosaur? And he's like, yeah. Why? And just the fact that the way Jeff Goldblum says it and asks, it's like, classic Ian Malcolm back in the story. And a lot of people are rumoring that he's going to die, and I really hope that doesn't happen.
All righty. They also released a trailer to the new Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie yesterday.
Yes, they did, and it still looks pretty fun. I like the sort of Roger Rabbit vibe they're giving it, but at the same time, it's like, why aren't you going to make a Roger Rabbit sequel then?
You know what this kind of falls under to me?
What?
You remember when I've talked about Star Trek Into Darkness, where it's like, if you're going to make a con movie, make a con movie, right?
Yeah.
This kind of falls under that thing where it's like, if you're going to make a Rescue Rangers movie, make a Rescue Rangers movie.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I do like that they're going sort of meta with it, and they couldn't have picked better people to do that with than John Mulaney and Andy Samberg.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about them not having their voice that kind of bothers me. It does have a very, 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 like you said, Who Framed Roger Rabbit feel to it.
Yeah, and then of course you've got. Go on.
No, you were.
No, you were saying something. I can hold my thought.
No. I don't even remember what I was going to say, if I was going to say anything at all. So.
But yeah, it does sort of have the meta Roger Rabbit sort of vibe to it, both in the mystery as well as just, tunes in the real world interacting with each other.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably going to be fine. I did get excited when they showed the balloon copter thing they used to fly in, like the real version of it.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I was like, oh, neat. It's like, if I want a Rescue Rangers movie, that's what I want.
Well, it's also really funny that they have Seth Rogen playing like Uncanny
Pumbaa. Valley
Dwarf from The Hobbit, and then his Pumbaa gets to like get into a little bit of a pissing match with him.
No, that's very meta. But yeah, this movie, I don't know. I can't sit here and go, wow, that looks amazing. Because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I'm very interested in seeing it, but I can understand where the reservations would come in.
So, but yeah, I just slowed down the clip where they show the little jet thing they used to fly with the balloon and all. It looks so cool. That takes me back to childhood right there. So
just give the man his warm, fuzzy nostalgia. Don't try to do anything new. Don't try to do anything fancy.
You know what? I'm kind of getting to that age where I want to go watch a movie I've already seen, and I want my warm bucket of popcorn. Is that asking too much?
Just give him his Rescue Rangers reruns on the big screen. That's all he wants.
There you go. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line. All right, for actual movie reviews this week, what did you see?
We have one major film that's out this week. It's called Memory, and it is a remake of a 2003 Belgian film called The Alzheimer's Case, but it's been updated and sort of changed to be set in El Paso, Texas.
Okay.
And it stars Liam Neeson as a hitman who has a mentally degenerative disorder, which is similar to Alzheimer's. I don't think they flat out say he has Alzheimer's, but it's basically Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And sort of he's slowly digressing in condition as he deals with the fallout of a failed hit and his ultimate quest for vengeance to sort of kill his way to the top of the food chain behind this. And it's from director Martin Campbell, who, in addition to doing a couple James Bond movies, did, The Mask of Zorro. He did The Protege last year. As much as it looks like a Liam Neeson action movie on the outset, it's really more, it sort of dives more into like a procedural crime drama sort of element.
Okay.
Like this is like a really good episode of Law and Order SVU, and I'm not knocking the movie for that. I'm just saying it has a very good, like, if you're a procedural fan, it has Liam Neeson action bits in it, but it's definitely something more methodical and slower paced, and it's not just blowing the screen out with explosions all, like, every 5 minutes.
Okay. He also directed Green Lantern.
Yes, and he has definitely mentioned how the studio kind of borked him on that. So I don't blame Martin Campbell for Green Lantern.
I don't know how you go from all of these like really good movies to Green Lantern.
All you do is a major studio wants to make a comic tentpole film. They hire a bunch of hot talent and a director that they feel can give them action, but also, personal set pieces. And then the notes come in, and then the editing comes in, and then everybody eventually just walked away from it.
Everyone's like, okay, we're just going to do a Justin Lin here and back away slowly.
No, because this movie was actually finished.
It's a joke. The Ice Road.
That was the one where he's like an ice road trucker that has to deliver materials to save a mine of miners.
Of his movies, like the ones that are just like not a bad movie. Okay, separate that right now from just it's just a stupid story.
Which one?
Liam Neeson, like some of the movies he's been in,
Oh, yeah. I swear, if you rewrote Honest Thief to be like more of a parody of his films, having him star in it, it would have been so much better. And it was literally 2 steps away from doing that to begin with. And, the man is still eager to get that Naked Gun reboot off the ground, and to give him that to sort of cut his teeth on, to come back to the world, to sort of dive into the world of comedy, I think would have been wonderful.
All I want to see is him as Frank Drebin's son. And real quick, everybody always talks about how Morgan Freeman is like the voice in their head, the narrator. I think Leslie Nielsen should be is one that's up there that should be just as good.
Oh, yeah. Leslie Nielsen really did. Not only was he just perfect at being the stone-faced straight man in things, he had a very authoritative but also very comforting voice that I don't think they used enough for voiceovers. I know he did a kids show at one point. It was like a voiceover on, I think it was called Katie and Orby. Like this random kids show on ABC. And like my brothers watched it as kids, and I dug his voice, like sort of being the calm narrator.
Yeah. Good times. All right. Was there any other movies coming out this weekend? I know that's what the only one you saw was Memory, but
that's basically the big one this week.
Okay.
Because next week is when we start diving into summer movie season with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, it does come out next weekend. Oh, that comes. Shoot. Ooh, I might be able to use
happened?
that. That comes out Mother's Day weekend, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I do for my wife for Mother's Day is we go on Sunday, and that's how I spend that. But then we
Doctor
dropped
Strange in the Motherverse of Madness.
Dang it. I'm probably not going to see it next weekend now.
Motherverse of Momness would have been a better one.
Yeah, you're right.
Save that for next week.
All right. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com joins me every week on the show to talk about movies. Mike, you have yourself a good weekend.
You too, man.
All right, so I bet you thought this was over. Well, we lied.
Wrong!
As we were sitting around talking after we got done doing the actual interview part, I was like, oh, we forgot about the Netflix stuff from this week because all of a sudden things aren't looking so awesome in Netflix world, right?
Yeah, there was a huge dip in, I think there was a huge dip in stock prices, or apparently they lost, what happened was they lost apparently 200,000 subscribers in the first quarter of 2021. And I don't know if it's the first time that they've missed their target like this, but this is coming off the back of things like Netflix saying that they're going to start an ad-supported tier to make for cheaper streaming, and they're going to crack down on passwords and sharing things.
Yeah.
And and what's really interesting is, again, we're just going to circle it back to CinemaCon. What ended up happening was there was a theatrical exhibitor, I forget whom, but someone basically called them out on that, and they were like, the door's always open for you guys to sort of come show your movies in theaters. Like, I'm paraphrasing here,
yeah.
But it was like a nice subtle dig, but at the same time, it reinforces the fact that, there's still very much a rift between major theatrical exhibitors, or at least two of them, and Netflix, because Cinemark has actually experimented with showing Netflix movies in theaters, but AMC and Regal are still very much set in their way of like, look, we're not going to do this right now until we talk about that exclusivity window.
Yeah, the funniest thing, and the reason I really wanted to bring it up, is because of the meme I sent you yesterday of Netflix and the Spider-Man thing. The just give us a chance. Did you give Blockbuster a chance?
Oh yeah, I liked that one.
Oh, it's very funny, and it loses something when you can't see it. But anyway, maybe I'll tag that post in the on the webpage of this. But so do you, Netflix? I mean, it's like anything else. At some point, they were going to have a bad year, right?
Yes, and also something that's very, very pertinent to this discussion. They are apparently about to lose Schitt's Creek to Hulu. And what's so important about that is Netflix was one of the factors that was instrumental to Schitt's Creek catching on as a gigantic hit, because they were the official streaming home, because it originated as a Canadian show on CBC, if I remember correctly. And then, it came over to America on the Pop Network, and eventually it went to Netflix, and that's where everybody binged it and started to love the hell out of it.
Real quick, so there was another meme about it where they go, you take Star Trek out of Netflix and see what happens.
That's another big loss for that. See, this is the thing that Netflix is. This is the very interesting sort of tide-turning factor, I think, between Netflix and their competitors. Because if you were to ask me who the strongest streamers are at this moment, I would say, in my opinion, Paramount Plus, HBO Max, and Disney Plus. Why? Because they're proprietary streaming services that not only have originals, but they have the back catalog of classics that people want to go see. Netflix used to have everything. There was a time where you could see Disney movies and Marvel movies on Netflix. There was a time where you had major TV shows like Law & Order on there.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely, other networks started fragmenting and taking their stuff back. And now, I mean, they don't have staying power most of the time. And also, they put so much content out that it's easy for things to get lost. And I think that's their greatest liability at this point, is now they have to start just depending on those originals. And while they've been building up the back catalog, between putting things out that don't catch on and then canceling other fan favorite shows too soon, they don't have that strong of a back catalog to rest on if like the next Red Notice doesn't work.
Yep. All right. Well, Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com. We appreciate you taking the extra couple seconds. That's where we'll end it this week. All right, bud?
All right, man.
And we've officially become a post-credit scene of a Marvel movie. Friends, we're back on Friday. Long story short, the plumber has came and went, and everything is fine at the B-sox household. My toilet is okay, and we wanted to talk a little bit more about movies of stuff that came out from when we recorded last to now. So here we are.
Yep.
Hi, Mike.
The mid-credit sequence was to give more information as to what we were doing, and now this is to set up the future.
Yes, exactly. The first one's just for fun. The second one means business. Or is it the other way around?
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Okay, all right. Anyways, all right, so real quick, there's just a couple things that we wanted to hit again from CinemaCon. The news kind of came, there was a couple interesting stories. One we had already talked about, the Top Gun stuff. It was viewed yesterday, and some of the first reactions started hitting the interwebs last night, and people seem to dig it.
Oh, yeah. People seem to really enjoy this. They are saying that not only is the action fantastic, but there's some character stuff that's going to have you crying and, have you cheering. It sounds like everything a Lego sequel / Pure Summer blockbuster should be. And I've even heard that the Lady Gaga song's good.
I saw one Twitter post last night in one of the, breakdowns where they put all of them in there. And one person, I don't remember who they are or what their affiliation is or whatever, but basically said it's the best movie in 10 years.
We're going to have to see about that. And I've also seen another critic, because I wrote a roundup that we did on Cinemablend when reactions first dropped. He was like, I modestly say that this movie could be up for Best Picture next year. And I'm thinking, okay, this movie looks really good, but I want it to be that good. But at the same time, A, that's a high bar to cross.
Yeah.
And B, like the Academy will let that happen.
I don't know. What is the process? How does the Best Picture go in there? Because a lot of people were saying, going back to Spider-Man No Way Home, that they thought that should have been a Best Picture. Or no, I'm sorry. Was it Infinity War or Endgame?
I think all three of those are ones that fans have said they wanted as Best Pictures.
And they
did want No Way Home, they did want Endgame, and I think they wanted Infinity War.
Well, they at least wanted, what's his name, Robert Downey Jr. to get a nomination for Best Actor. But why wouldn't it? Okay, let me ask you this. The real quick response. Why wouldn't a movie like Top Gun Maverick get the nod for a Best Picture?
Genre bias. The Academy feels more biased towards things that are serious and things that are based on real life, issues and experiences that make them look like they care about the world. It's like we're mindful.
You know what the big thing to me is, and I can say over the last few years it's changed a little bit. But when it comes to Best Picture, I always feel like I want it to be movies that I may have seen, that I don't have to go out of my way to see.
Well, that's something that's always been a problem with the Oscars, because a lot of the movies that tend to get nominated are ones that open in New York and LA for 2 weeks, and then right before Christmas, and then maybe they expand into theaters nationwide if they do well enough or if they're nominated. But in some cases, those movies don't get a wide release, and then you have to wait for them to go on VOD or rent them.
Yeah,
go to your local art house theater, which I would highly recommend too, because those theaters.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that with some of the movies, but if it's the Best Picture,
hard.
I should. Well, no. Here, listen. If it's the Best Picture, I shouldn't have to work that hard to see it. If it's that good of a movie, right?
Well, that's why major theater chains like AMC and Regal do their they do special events around Oscar season, where the moment those nominations come out, they announce that they do. Now, I haven't done it with AMC for a while, but when I used to go, because this used to be something I definitely did before I was professionally with Cinemablend, they have something called the Best Picture Showcase, where they will show every Best Picture nominee either over 2 weekends or in a 24-hour marathon in select locations. And there's even other theaters, like I have an art house theater by me that does the best live action shorts, the best animated shorts, and I think some of them do the best documentary shorts too.
Okay.
Like some theaters do put that programming out there around that time. But at the same time, I agree with you. I would like these movies to be more widely available from the beginning when they're first released, because if you're really positioning this as a sort of Best Picture winner, and let's face it, the Oscars are chasing trends and they're chasing viewers, and they're chasing people's opinions. What better way to stoke those opinions and to show you what people are watching than to have that widely available and look at the box office. I mean, I'm not saying that box office is an important thing when it comes to awards, and nor am I saying that they should revive that popular Oscar category they were originally going to do.
But it should be part of it.
I see. No, it shouldn't.
No, it
People's
should.
Choice Awards is for that. The People's Choice Awards is for that. This is not a popularity contest with the public. This is the peers of the filmmaking community voting on what they thought were the most well-crafted performances in film. This isn't the public vote. And the Oscars already introduced a public vote Twitter campaign for two different awards. It was like the Oscar cheer moment and the popular film like Twitter vote. And that had mixed reviews too. And just this, as much as people want to watch as much as the Academy wants people to watch the Oscars, it's because they need the viewers, they need the money, they need to pay for a museum right now, and they have really big deals to keep that on TV. But as far as the general public goes, the general public doesn't really have a say in the Oscars.
And that may be why I don't, I hear it and I'm like, okay, and I don't watch it.
I can't blame you for that. I mean, there's some years I can't blame you for that, because while I watch it because of professional interest and because I need to stay current, sometimes I look at it and it's like, really, these are your picks. You could have went with this or this was totally ignored. Especially when you look at Best Animated, because the Best Animated category last year, Belle should have been nominated. It was an anime film that was absolutely wonderful take on Beauty and the Beast. But meanwhile, you've got 3 different Disney movies nominated in your animated category. And if that doesn't say how much the Academy pays attention to the animated films of the year, I don't.
Well, I can put it to you like this on how much the Oscars mean, especially to me. I mean, before the Will Smith thing, we didn't even talk about it. I mean, if you think about it like that.
You mean us in general on the show?
Like us in general on the show, it was a non...
Yeah.
There was nothing to it.
We would talk about the winners and everything, but it wasn't anything as deep as, and maybe some of the moments on the show, but it wasn't anything as deep as, the continued dissection of the Will Smith, Chris Rock slap. Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing about it. Like the awards themselves, I couldn't tell you any of the winners this year. What I can tell you is Will Smith smacked Chris Rock at it. That's how interesting the Oscars are to me right now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I agree with the people that say that that's the ultimate tragedy of that event, besides the fact that there was a physical assault and the fallout that came from it. The greatest tragedy of it all was, Questlove won for Best Documentary for a film that so many people have been talking up that I need to check out myself. And I felt bad for him and his co-producers and the winners that came up with him, because that's supposed to be the winners. That is supposed to be the winner's night, the winner's moment. And, so even with Will Smith winning, he overshadowed himself with his own actions. And that's not even, again, that's not an opinion on what happened. That's just, look, this happened and it took the wind out of the sails for the rest of the night. Like, it was hanging over everything and you knew it was going to.
Well, this conversation went in a direction I didn't think it was going to go. I didn't think we were going to go Oscars on this.
But I can bring it back to what we were going to talk about, because what else were we going to talk about out of CinemaCon?
Olivia Wilde got served papers in the middle of a presentation at it.
Yes. So, Olivia Wilde was on hand because she has a film coming out this year called Don't Worry, Darling. I believe it's called Don't Worry, Darling.
She has a film coming out.
A film coming out called Don't Worry, Darling, which sounds like a head trip and a half. I cannot wait to see this movie. They showed a small clip of it towards the end of last year, and you've got, among other things, Chris Pine looking like a demented band leader, like an old-timey big band leader, and just that, Harry Styles, Florence Pugh, Olivia Wilde doing her thing.
Nobody cares about the movie. Talk about her getting served papers, because it was awesome.
You done?
Yeah, I am. But I mean, the story is her getting served papers.
Yes, and I'm setting it up with background. You.
Punchline first, Reyes. Punchline first.
This is why I love doing this show. It honestly is.
Or here, I'll put it in terms you can understand. Get to the fucking point, Mike.
I'm getting to the fucking point, okay? If Infinity War and Endgame can be a 5-hour epic, then my story
you're going off track
long.
Again.
You're doing this. I learned from watching you. Anyway, Olivia Wilde was served papers at CinemaCon this week. Just out of nowhere, someone in, I think, the first 3 rows walks up to the stage, slides them into an envelope. This is personal and confidential on it. So this poor woman's holding this envelope through her whole presentation about the film. And then everyone's wondering, what's in that envelope? It turned out to be she was served custody papers from Jason Sudeikis. However, according to his own recollection, or his representation's recollection, I think it might have been, official word from Jason Sudeikis' camp is that he didn't know that was how it was going to happen. He had no idea that the papers were going to be served in that manner. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's telling the truth, because, as anybody, the first example people went to with this was Pineapple Express. You have Seth Rogen as a process server, dresses up as a doctor to serve a doctor during surgery. Process servers, I believe what we've seen in the movies is kind of basically it's basically the truth. See also Iron Man, where Tony Stark gets served with a subpoena to testify.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like they have to be sneaky to get those papers to you. And from what some have said, that is a situation where if someone is not cooperating or responding to the usual chain of events and the usual process, that's when the sneak attack process servers come in. So
that's kind of what I was thinking, that it was one of those things where maybe she's been hard to find. Server knew where she was going to be, and then she goes up on stage, says, "Hi, I'm Olivia Wilde." So she identified herself. So here are your papers, ma'am.
Yeah. And, it's sad, because I know I believe Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis had 2 children together during their, I believe it was a 7-year engagement. And just, they never, it never yielded a marriage. They broke up. It didn't seem like an acrimonious split. And even in this scenario, like, it doesn't look like he's trying to inflict any undue pain on Olivia Wilde. But, we don't know the full story. We just know what we see.
I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised that she picked up the envelope.
You kind of have to.
I don't think so, because in the world we live in, I mean, that could be a lot of anything. You almost sent. I'm almost surprised, like, a stage manager or something didn't run out and grab it or something.
I'm surprised it happened, because we went through the friggin' slap, and now CinemaCon is saying that they're going to beef up their security, they're going to change protocols, and that's the right response. But I'm still just gobsmacked that this was allowed to happen after we had a live televised event where someone slapped someone else.
I will say real quick, as we're getting long in the tooth here, the fact that she's like, "Oh, is this a script? Is this a script?" and then opens it up. Okay, I got it.
She played it off professionally, and again, I feel sorry for her that's how they decided to do it. I get that she needed to get those papers, but if you really wanted to be sly about it, you probably could have waited for a press line or something. But I don't know.
Yeah,
it's another one of those. Yeah, it's
a crazy story. But anyways, Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com. I think that'll do it for this week, as we keep adding on to a current episode and all of that.
Let's be absolutely sure we don't have anything else to talk about. We don't want to talk about Professor X's hover chair, or
I want to, but God, there's just
next week.
Yes,
let's talk about it next week.
When are you actually seeing Doctor Strange 2?
I should be seeing it. I haven't gotten confirmation yet. I should be seeing it Wednesday night.
Cool.
But definitely Thursday night, because I'm going to see it in 3D.
Perfect. All right. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com joins me every Friday on the show. Talk about movies. Mike, you have a good weekend, okay?
You as well. And I really mean it this time. Like, have a great weekend. Just fill it with fun and your newly fixed toilet, and no more additions to this episode.